Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. So I recently ran across an article titled, "The New American Dream is to Leave," as in to get out of the country, to go someplace else where it's more affordable. It goes on to say, most in the US don't believe hard work will get you ahead and would take a pay cut for a better quality of life. Here's why the old dream is crumbling. And there's no doubt about it. In the past couple years, life has gotten more expensive. We could talk about this from the stance of increased housing costs, coupled with increasing interest rates, rising rent costs, and then the overall broader impact of inflation, which has caused everything from food, utilities, gas, you name it, to increase. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely seeing an uptick of videos about American expats living abroad. And a primary driver of this is a more affordable life. And outside the inflationary pressures on everyday expenses, another primary driver for Americans to live abroad is the expense of healthcare. Healthcare in America is incredibly expensive. I actually just watched a video from CNBC Make It where a family moved to Costa Rica, and one of their primary drivers was medical costs.
They go to the emergency room. We have no insurance at the time. They did an EKG, a chest x-ray, an ultrasound, and a cancer screening. And when I checked out, 90 minutes later, it cost me $160 basically. And that's me rounding up.
Point blank, that's unheard of in America. I work in healthcare, specifically with insurances, and there's practically nothing you can get at that price point for healthcare in America. The major crux of the issue is that we've privatized healthcare and that these huge insurance companies dictate the overall cost of care, and doctors and patients alike are simply at the whim of this system. If you look at the most profitable insurance company out there as of 2023, which happens to be United Healthcare, the reason they're the most profitable is because they don't pay out on their claims, but that's a different tangent for a different day. Part of the backbone for this article, that it's now unaffordable to live in America, is a recent analysis done by Investopedia, suggesting that the American dream now costs a cool $3.4 million. And if you're thinking that's a hefty number, that's because it is. That is actually far more than the typical American earns in their entire lifetime. And I recently did a deep dive into this analysis done by Investopedia. And quite frankly, there were a lot of problems with it. The numbers they presented were inflated in practically every single category. But in addition to the numbers being inflated in every single category, when looking specifically at healthcare and retirement, two of the largest numbers in the breakdown, they assume you foot the bill for your own healthcare premiums 100%. That healthcare isn't in any way subsidized by an employer throughout your entire lifetime. They also assume that you foot the bill for your entire retirement, that you don't invest your money and you don't reap the benefits of compound interest. So these numbers were definitely inflated, and I think they were inflated in an attempt to create a scarier headline. But like I said, I did do a full video on this, so I will link it down below. Personally, I think it's worth checking out. If living abroad is something you're interested in doing, there are certainly wonderful destinations that could be significantly more affordable than America. And ultimately, everyone has a different idea of what they want to pursue in life. And if living abroad is something you want to pursue, you can absolutely build a life full of adventures. My husband is in the service, so every 3 or 4 years, we pick up and we move to a new place, which actually makes for a really fun life. You get to explore living in different places, and we've had wonderful places that we've lived. Each place is unique and exciting in its own way. And actually, we have our new orders, and this summer we will be moving to Virginia, and I'm sure it will be wonderful. But what I found most striking in all of this, in this headline, was that most in the US don't believe hard work will get you ahead and would take a pay cut for a better quality of life. The article goes on to say, at the heart of the national ethos is the belief that anyone can achieve a happy life through hard work and perseverance. And I think if you look at the American dream like that, as in it's the opportunity to pursue a better life through hard work and perseverance, I absolutely think it's achievable. I still believe that in today's world, hard work can absolutely get you ahead. But I also believe that in today's instant gratification society, there's a second part of that equation that's often forgotten. It's often forgotten that hard work coupled with sacrifice can lead to a better quality of life. Dave Ramsey actually has a wonderful quote about this. He constantly says, "Live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else." That's a great mentality. If you work hard, sacrifice, and dedicate yourself for a set period of time, that will absolutely pay off down the road. But hard work is only one part of the equation. You work hard to find ways to boost your income. Maybe that's pursuing a better paying career. Maybe that's finding ways to enhance your skill set. Maybe it's simply taking on extra work so you can have extra money to pay down debt or to boost savings. But the other side of the equation is equally important, making sacrifices. Maybe that involves turning off social media so you don't give in to impulse buys. Maybe it's not having the typical American car payment of $700 a month. Maybe that's being willing to live with a roommate to make housing more affordable. And the sacrifice isn't forever, it's temporary, it's for a set period of time. But often the mentality is, I work hard, so I deserve it. And I think that can be one of the most damaging attitudes when it comes to your finances. And I really think that such a large portion of this mentality and this perspective is driven by social media these days, because we've never been at a place in life where other people's lives are so on display and really sometimes shoved down our throat. You look around and everyone seems to be driving a $60,000 or a $70,000 car. They seem to be taking one vacation after the next, and each one's just a little bit better than the one before it. Or maybe everyone is upgrading their home around you, whatever it may be. You might ask, how can everyone else afford the good life while I'm broke? Well, consider that about 61% of Americans are in credit card debt, and about a quarter of all credit card users are going into deeper debt every single month. So there's the very real possibility that the life you're seeing on display is not a life that that person can truly afford. There's a very real possibility that that entire lifestyle is propped up on a pile of debt, and debt that could be sitting at an interest rate of 20 or 30% if it's on a credit card. And trying to finance a lifestyle that looks impressive to others is ultimately just going to leave you spinning your wheels, feeling like you just can't get ahead. In reality, it's just going to leave you getting further and further behind. Or when it comes to young adults, many are still reliant on their parents for financial support. 55% of 18 to 34-year-olds say they get financial assistance from their parents. In fact, when we look at just the 30 to 34-year-olds, about 20% say their parents assist them with their regular household bills. It does no good to compare your situation to someone else's. Your situation is not their situation, and quite frankly, you don't know the details of their situation. It could be a very true reality that much of their lifestyle is propped up by debt or subsidized by a family member. I just think if you're willing to put blinders on and just tune out what everyone else is doing, tune out all the noise, and focus on achieving the goals that are important to you. Whether your goal is to become a homeowner, advance in your career, whatever it may be, if you dedicate yourself and you solely focus on that, I absolutely believe it's possible to get ahead. It's possible to grow your income. It's possible to afford that home, but it's not possible without sacrifice. It's the old saying of, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. It doesn't matter what you think the American dream is. It matters what your dream is for your life. And what about the second part of that original headline? That most in the US don't believe hard work will get you ahead and would take a pay cut for a better quality of life. Well, this comes from a study completed by Ford, where 52% of survey respondents said they would be willing to take a 20% pay cut for better work-life balance, and roughly 74% of these workers saying it's not worth taking a job that increases your personal stress. More and more, we're seeing that success and wealth are being redefined. We have a culture that's shifting to a more holistic approach. When it comes to measuring wealth, people are moving beyond a simple dollar amount. This was evident in the Charles Schwab annual Modern Wealth Survey, which goes into a similar sentiment to the Ford study, saying workers are prioritizing fulfilling relationships, less stress, and more work-life balance. And the majority of workers saying that overall well-being is more important than money itself. And I actually wholeheartedly agree with this approach. A few years ago, I left the corporate world and started my own business. I took a significant pay cut seeking greater work-life balance. It's given me much greater control over my time, control over who I work with, from the clients I'm willing to take on and the employees I hire. But I can't really say that it's given me less stress. It's just now I have a different type of stress. But that being said, I am the person who's constantly checking in with my employees like, how do you feel? How is your workload? Do you feel like you have a good work-life balance? But realistically, with that being said, this opportunity was really only possible because I live in a dual income household with my husband. So I was able to take that pay cut and then slowly work on building my income back up over time. But I do think it is worthwhile to pursue a life of less stress. However, I don't really know how realistic it is to say that people are willing to take a pay cut. Currently, we have so many people already struggling to make ends meet. I think a more realistic approach is prioritizing what's important to you. Maybe you could start by making a top 10 list of the things that you really want or things you want to achieve. Then ask yourself, what are my top 3 musts? Choose those 3 to focus on and cross off everything else on the list, because those other items are going to distract you from really what's important to you. Prioritize your top 3 and let go of everything else. I think if you work really hard, you absolutely can get ahead, with the caveat that it requires sacrifice. But this sacrifice is usually temporary in nature, but it does require you getting crystal clear on what's important to you and then ignoring everything else. What are your thoughts? Share them in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.